So, welcome to PGA Show. We're here at Orange Tree at ACCRA's Golf Day with Gawain Robertson from PGMC ACCRA Golf.
Pleasure to be here.
And one of the things that ACCRA's always been very good at is taking designs that have worked, reviewing them, renewing them, listening to the whims of the club fitters out there, and actually kind of changing the designs up a little bit. But really, I think one of the things that very few industry people, let alone the consumers, know is how do you come about the shaft design in the first place? What gives you that direction to say, right, that's what we're going to do?
You know what? They come from all different places. That's the funny thing. I mean, a lot of times it's the other equipment in the market. When golf balls changed dramatically, i.e. the Pro V1 when it came out, one of our first ACCRA shafts was designed to help get the ball in the air. Because remember, when the Pro V1 first came out, guys couldn't get the ball airborne anymore. And then as heads became had higher CGs as they went from 400 cc's to 460 cc's, and they became more stable. Well, then super low torque wasn't as important anymore.
Yeah.
So we always tend to adjust based on other equipment that gets introduced in the market that affects golf shafts. So we'll design a shaft that kicks the ball up in the air a little more when there's the SLDR came out, for instance, or something like that. So that affects what we do. We also see that from Tour a lot of times, because Tour is experimenting with things before the public is. But then a lot of our designs come from club fitters. I mean, you and I will talk, or I'll talk to other club fitters, stuff like that, and you'll come up with ideas for us, and we'll say, we're missing this in our line.
Yeah.
And so then we can look at, okay, how can we create a profile that fits into those maybe holes in our line or holes in the industry in general. Our TZ6 line was exactly that. I mean, we found that, we needed something that launched really high in the last couple of years, but kept the spin rate down. Tour players were looking at lofting up in some cases. Some guys were lofting. It's kind of a weird year last year with guys who were going. Now now I think people are starting to loft up a little bit again with the new latest drivers from the big companies. But so we're trying to adjust our profiles to sort of fit those things. And like I said, from a club fitting perspective, you're dealing with all sorts of players at all levels. And so you see, hey, a lighter weight, stiffer tip might work better in this kind of thing. So then we can go to the drawing board and say, what can we do to create that?
Are there times where you'll come out and have a material that's produced that you want to use, or a design that you get really excited about, but it just doesn't suit where, for example, head design or ball design is, and you go, actually, we'll just kind of park that for later? Is there that kind of scenario that goes
That's
on?
actually that's a very good point. We have done that on several occasions. We came up with a great design that just didn't fit in at that point in time. But new materials are something you hit on there that are really important, because we'll find a new material get introduced to us by, we tend to get most of our materials from Toray in Japan, which is the biggest supplier for the aerospace industry. And a lot of times, really cool new materials will trickle down from the aerospace industry into the sporting goods industry. And if we can get some first crack at it, for instance, our RPG shafts have a super lightweight, 4K weave, which has got 4 different modules graphite woven together. Normally, when you do that, it's very heavy, so you tend to add to the weight of the shaft. So a lot of times, people will only use a section of the shaft will have a weave in it to keep the weight normal. But then you end up with counterbalance or lower balance points. So this material came to us, and it was like, this is super light. It doesn't really affect the overall weight of the club. We were able to do a 360 weave all the way down the full length of the shaft, which creates stability, but didn't add a lot of weight. So materials will also give us opportunities, that kind of thing. So they come from all different places. And it's kind of neat when we sit around and literally at the table in our office, we'll sit around and say, hey, we've got this opportunity. What do we see out there? Who have you talked to? What club fitters have mentioned what? And we'll come up with ideas from that.
Yeah, because I think sometimes it's easy to see a trend from a manufacturer. Certainly, some of the consumers that come into us will say, "Oh, well, X company, they build shafts that do that."
Yep.
Is there an element of saying, well, ACCRA has an identity? I mean, historically, was responsive tip, low torque, and that was something that ACCRA did pretty much first of anyone else, and that was of the original SC, SE series.
You got good memory.
Going all the way, well, I used them for going all the way back 15 years ago. Is that something that you want to try and retain some form of element of, for a better identity of your shafts moving forward, or is that not really into the thought process? Is it more just a case of, right, what do we need to do now to suit where golf is?
That's an interesting point. I mean, I think we did have that certainly reputation for a while. Then, so the first Tour Z came out, and it was kind of one of the first really telephone poles that felt good.
Yeah.
And we kind of, that became kind of I'll call it an iconic brand for us in a little ways. But I think we want to always be progressive and be on the cutting edge. So I think we try to stay away from, oh, we've done this well, we should stay with it.
Yeah.
Although certainly, I mean, again, going back to the TZ6 line is certainly an upgraded version of that original SE80 kind of thing where we had better materials now that we could make it lighter and still had like, you know, a 2.0 torque. But certainly, you know, I think we sort of jumped both sides of that fence.
Yeah.
Where we do want to have an identity. But I think our identity of being a performance shaft that works well for club fitters is more important than just a profile.
Yeah. And I guess with the joining together from True Sports and coming together gives opportunities like the new steel that you got there, where you can sort of take two technologies from two different brands and try and bring the best of both together.
I'll tell you what,
it's one of the other things. Is that something that you've been kind of looking at? It'd be really nice to do this if we got the chance.
I'll tell you, dealing with, I mean, so True Sports has a test facility and a R&D facility in California that now we have the opportunity to use, and we work with Don Brown, who's been designing Project X and hazardous shafts, things like that for a long time, and being able to work and having a second point of view of directions to go, and obviously True Temper has access to materials sometimes that, you know, ACCRA doesn't have. So now ACCRA has access to everything. So we're all one.
Yeah.
And the relationship's been unbelievable that way. Where I think moving forward, it's only been 6 months. I think moving forward, you're going to see us take advantage of some opportunities that maybe we couldn't before. And I mean, same thing with the addition of Aerotech now.
Yeah.
I mean, Aerotech's an amazing brand that has some really cool technologies, but I think sometimes they weren't able to get to the next level because there were some constraints.
Yeah.
Just like ACCRA. And I think now that it opens up so many doors for cross you know, technologies and things like that between the companies, yet keeping the companies unique and different.
Does that make it quite hard where you've got the three companies? So in November, True Sports, who True Temper took over Aerotech as well. So Chris Hillary's baby, which has got so much more traction as players are going a little bit lighter, keeping the stability. Just that profile shaft has really come into its own. It's actually been around a long time. That's really come into its own the last 5 years.
I would say that.
Is bouncing off kind of who goes, right, there's a technology or a material that comes out. Is there an element of, you know, weird like that for our one? And kind of and bouncing actually off which products go to which brand. Is there an element of that at all?
Well, again,
or is it kind of that, you know, there's, let's say, some kind of identity that a certain product will just suit being in with that department, for want of a better phrase?
I'll go back to your original point where
if you're allowed to answer
that.
No,
I know, I certainly can. It is very new still. And obviously we've had a lot of conversations with Chris, and Chris, you and I go way back and things like that. And Aerotech certainly has a place in the industry, and I don't think we want to upset that. And you know, be quite honest, you know, I said to Chris, we were going to make you proud of what we do with his baby, as you called it, and we're excited by the opportunity that he's presented by the technologies that he's created. But I think, you know, going back to your point earlier on, yes, brands do have identities.
Yeah.
Aerotech is known for graphite iron shafts. Yeah. I don't think we're going to try and all of a sudden change the world on fire by making Aerotech a wood shaft company. You know, I think we're going to use that as a platform to create performance graphite iron shafts. You know, and ACCRA fits in as a club fitter only brand.
Well, actually, the performance of the shafts in terms of the way they swing is totally different as well. So there is a definite kind of divergence in performance in that respect. 100%.
I mean, ACCRA is very strong in the iron shaft, the graphite iron shaft world too, but it is a different performance product. So I mean, I think there's an ability to be able to keep identities, and you know, I think we're trying to talk as much as we can about maintaining the identity of each brand. I mean, True Temper bought Project X 10 years ago. And I think True Temper has done an amazing job on their own maintaining, you know, the properties of that brand, where people look at Project X as being a performance brand, usually for a slightly better player or somebody that wants stability, things like that. But and I think that's what's happening with ACCRA, and it's going to happen with Aerotech, where although there's this combined technology base, we can utilize them in different facets of the industry.
And not only that, ACCRA is the first green shaft company.
There you go.
Eco-friendly. Is that the Canadian element in you, or is that just...
I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what. As a Canadian company, we were excited by this, and it really came to us from True Temper. And it's a process that they've been working on for a little bit. but we look at as the idea of getting rid of nickel and chrome from steel shafts is something that's unbelievably good for the environment. Nickel and chrome are terrible for the environment, and this is something we can do to really help. But the fact that there's performance, there's a lot of performance to this product too. It's not just the looks,
It's not just,
but being able to add looks to it really helps. And this is something we're incredibly excited about.
And you said this is to do with getting rid of the nickel and chrome, actually disposing of it. Is that side of thing rather than the actual, I guess, part of the production itself?
100%. The production itself isn't so. They're very bad for the environment. You have to dispose of both at some point in time. And Royal Precision, with all steel shafts companies go through it, and this is something now. If we can move in that direction, it's just a good thing for the environment. And I think this is a great opportunity to introduce it to the world.
Gavin, thank you very much indeed for your time. It's a pleasure as always, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of days for. It won't be R&R, it'll be serious meeting and chatting, but it's been great having you for the video. Thanks so much.
And I look forward to seeing you in the UK soon.
Next year. Absolutely, look forward to seeing you over there too.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.